Man, welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty podcast. We gambling tonight. We always like to drop a gambling episode at the end of the week. Before I introduce who I got on this podcast, add the podcast. Give me a 5-star review. Do it, and do it now. Add me on Twitter too while you at Crew Matt Hamm. I got the poor man P Miller with me. And P. Miller, you always on here with these gambling episodes because me and you've been gambling for yeons.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they call me the poor man.
I was thinking about that, Phil. I was like, we probably should be introducing you as the poor man with our gambling. They would be like, dang, the poor man's always losing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit or miss, 50-50. I win about half the time, seems like. So, hey, put me to the test there. Call me out.
I'll say I'm like 50-50 in NFL this year. College football, I'm killing it right now. I think me and you, shoot, Phil, after we do our NFL stuff, let's just throw a little college football out there. And in fact, at the end, I'm going to give them a little UFC, little parlay that I'm doing. We got the UFC 280. I can't fucking wait, man.
Yeah, I heard that. I was into UFC big back in the day, and then I just been out of it. Now you into it, Matt, and it's like our roles were reversed or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But
I love it too, man. That card is so stacked tomorrow. But heck, they don't. These people probably don't even want to hear this stuff, man. They just like, hey, man, give us our. Heck, they might not even want to know our gambling picks. We gonna give it to them anyways, though. So.
Yeah, y'all go out there with these lineups, you'll win some money. I'm gonna tell you that. I've been hitting it on these. Well, most of them on these little DFS lineups.
So, well, heck, man.
It just is what it is.
Well, shoot, P, I say we just go through our little DFS lineups. Me and you, we like to use FanDuel. I know the Craft Man uses DraftKings. Basically the goal is you got to fill out a roster, a little daily roster, and you got to get it under the salary cap. And our salary cap, I believe, is $6,000 or $60,000 or something like that or whatever. And you got to try to fit you a roster, but under that salary cap. For those if you hadn't filled one of these out before, I recommend doing it. I hadn't done one in a couple of years, but the poor man and the Craft Man, they are into it. So I was like, heck, I'll come in here and throw my money at it. So figured, why not?
Yeah, I mean, they're fun. It's just like doing, like a fantasy football, but just every week. And, there's money on the line that week. If you win that matchup, then you get the money right then. You don't have to wait till the end of the season. So, and they're fun, just like, you don't even have to spend that much on them. I just spent 5 cents on this one. So that's the kind of betting the poor man's doing these days, little nickels and dimes. So.
Nickel and diamond. Yep, no commitment to these players, man. It's a 1-day thing, 1 week thing. And Phil, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and go first, man. I'll just tell you what I did and what I came up with. I feel pretty good about this lineup. But I think I want to say the Craft Man always says he goes and picks a tight end in the defense first. He tries to get the best one at the lowest price. Maybe you had recommended that too. So that's what I did. And I'll just start from the top. My quarterback this week is Thomas L. Brady, the GOAT. I was like, yo, he's going against the Panthers this week. This dude's going through a divorce. He wants to throw touchdowns. I was thinking he was cheaper than a lot of these guys. I only spent $7,400 on him. At running back, I went Leonard Fournette, and then I went Kenneth Walker, and I was thinking, I want that Tom Brady stack. And I figured, hey, I'm going to get it to this running back, old Lenny. They're always swinging the ball off to Leonard Fournette, dumping it down, scoring touchdowns. He's about as safe as a play as there is out there. I went a little bit cheaper with my next running back and went Kenneth Walker, start running back for Seattle. They're going against the Chargers. They're like the 29th ranked defense against the run. My two wide receivers, I went with CeeDee Lamb, and then I went with Michael Pittman Jr. going against Tennessee. So with CeeDee Lamb, they're going against Detroit, who's the worst defense in the league right now. So I figured, hey, Dak Prescott's coming back. He's going to be dishing it down to his guy in the slot. Detroit probably ain't going to be able to defend it. Michael Pittman Jr. going against Tennessee. They just came off a big game last week with Matt Ryan. They got hot. Maybe they'll carry the momentum. At my next wide receiver, I went Romeo Dubs going against Washington, a Green Bay Packer. The Craft Man might would like that. He's been getting a lot of targets lately. So here's where it gets down to it, though. At tied in, I went Dalton Schultz, and he had been out, so he was cheaper than a lot of tight ends. And he's coming back this week. Dak Prescott's coming back this week. I know it's game one, but it's like, hey, Dak threw the ball a lot to Schultz whenever they played. I figured, hey, this is a good game as any to just get him back in there. And I wanted to go as cheap as I could at tight end. It's always a shot in the dark anyways. My last flex spot, I went with Allen Lazard. So I went Dubs and Lazard with my two spots, and that's because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a big game versus Washington, who's just complete trash. I might look into changing that up. You know, two wide receivers on one team and two wide receivers on the Packers at that. That's a tough call. But I felt like, hey, I like the numbers that came up with. They're going against a defense that ain't no good. I think Aaron Rodgers might get it going. P, what you think about that DFS lineup I just gave to the people?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I like it. Yeah, I say do be careful having more than one player from the same team on your team. You know that because if one, I mean, sometimes it works out though. If one does really good, that means the other one's probably getting a lot of work too. But sometimes one eats and one don't. So, but yeah, I like that lineup, man. I say pick as many players on the Cowboys as you want to because they're gonna go off against Detroit. So that's a good call. And yeah, Green Bay. Who are they going against? Washington.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah, yeah. So definitely some good picks there. Um, yeah. You want me to just go into mine,
Yeah,
Matt?
Pete,
Go
go
into
ahead and go for it,
mine.
man. Tell us what you got. You did a Sunday full roster too, Phil?
Yeah, this is only Sunday. And I did the same kind of thing you did. I'm gonna just go through the picks the way I don't remember exactly the order, but I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. Like I saved my flex position for last, and the first one I went with was a defense, like you, Matt. I went down. I got a cheap defense. Defense. I got the Raiders going against Houston. I mean, with defense, I feel like it's also like it's just a shot in the dark. Like you could have a defense do really good. I feel like that's a good matchup. The Raiders going against Houston. They were real cheap too. And then like they were 4,000 for the Raiders. And then I went and got a tight end next. And I went ahead and got Hayden Hurst with Cincinnati. They're playing Atlanta, his old team. I feel like he could have a big game just on that basis. I see that happen sometimes. Like you play your former team, you have a good game, and he was super cheap tight end. He was 4,900. So I feel like that was a pretty good deal. He could go off. I feel like if the players just hit, you know, these low level guys that you get that are cheap, then you guarantee some money as long as everybody you spent money on at least pulls their weight. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then I went up to quarterback. That was the next one I did. So I went defense, tight end, then I went up to quarterback. And I'm looking to save money on a quarterback too. I'm pretty much always trying to do that nowadays. A couple weeks ago, I picked Josh Allen, who's the most expensive one. And I felt good about that lineup, and I ended up not winning anything. So I'm going back to my buy cheap on a quarterback in this league. So I went with Jacoby Brissett with Cleveland going against Baltimore. You know, that pass defense at Baltimore hasn't been all that good this year.
Yeah.
Uh, and to stack him up, I got Amari Cooper He could have a big game going against Baltimore. I think look for them to score a lot of points. I feel like that could be a high scoring game, possibly. Um, after I got quarterback, I would jump to receiver, picked him up to double up, and then I went to my running backs, and I got Aaron Jones, who was super cheap. He's $6,800 on here going against Washington. I mean, he could have a big game, any game. I feel like so. I scooped him, and then I got Josh Jacobs uh, going against Houston. He's been rolling lately. I don't see why he should have any problem rolling against Houston. And then I got two more receivers to pick. So I went with Chris Godwin, going against Carolina. I mean, Mike Evans might be Tom's favorite target, but Chris Godwin, I feel like is his actual favorite target. Like down the field, getting yards. He's gonna have more yards, I feel like. And Evans might do better in the red zone and stuff, I feel like. So I went with Chris Godwin. He could have a big game. They probably be going down the field all day on Carolina. And
Mm-hmm.
then my last receiver I picked was Keenan Allen. And he's actually questionable. So take that into consideration. But going against Seattle, he could have a big game as long as he plays. It says a game time decision, but he's trending towards playing. So I'm taking a risk there, but I feel like he's gonna play. And then my flex position, I was able to save up some money for my flex, and I got CD Lamb in my flex spot. You know,
Yep.
so I gotta go against Detroit. I feel like he's gonna have a big game. Dak coming back. He's probably. I'm just gonna say this: he's gonna get 30 points, and if I'm wrong, I'm probably gonna lose this matchup.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
with you.
that's my lineup, Matt. What you think about that one?
I'm with you. I like that lineup. Efficient lineup. Me and you both went with CD Lamb. Yeah, Phil, I like how we had a lot of differences of that. I might go copy that one up. J-
Yeah,
grab.
I spent all of my salary cap on this one. Like sometimes I'll have like $100 left over. I love when I can spend the whole thing. Just makes me feel like I got every every penny's worth on there.
Yeah, I
But
agree. And yeah, Phil, going back to what you said about, me having two players from the same teams, I agree with you on that. I usually wouldn't do it neither. It just all worked out, man. I just got a good feeling about Dobbs and Lazard. Lazard's been the number one guy. Dobbs has been getting like 8 targets from Aaron Rodgers. So I'm with you. And then another one I had like Schultz and CD, and it's like you said, man, they're going against Detroit. Pick anybody, throw them all in there. I think the reason why I pretty much went with Schultz is he was cheap. He was a cheap tight end that I felt like could do good in a one game setting. You know, that's
yeah,
just how I rolled with it.
yep, I agree with that. And actually, in a little one I did for Thursday through Monday, I ain't gonna get into it, but yeah, I picked Dak as my QB in that one. Him and I got Tony Pollard. I feel like he could have a good game in that. You pretty much pick anybody on Dallas. I feel like they have a big game this week. So
Yeah, I like your Josh Jacobs picks. That dude's been on a roll. I still can't. It just still just blows my mind that Las Vegas wouldn't pick up his fifth year. I mean, every time I watch Josh Jacobs play, that dude is looking real good. Uh, but shoot, Phil,
agreed.
you got anything else you want to say about this DFS lineup? It's like the craft man says, you got to win a tight end and defense because you'll win at some of these positions, but a lot of other people will too. So you got to make sure you hit on that defense and that tight end.
Yep. And then I'll say this too. It's good to find just like a going like a you get like three wide receivers on these plus a flex. So go and find a really cheap wide receiver too, just so you can get some good players that you like. If you can go down there in the list of, some of these low level guys who could have a big game, if they're if they've had a big game in the past, you can always just see what they've done in the past on there. I like to scroll down to the bottom, see their numbers from the previous weeks. It's like gives you an idea. It's like, hey, this guy could go off. He's not very expensive, but it could happen. So
Yeah.
that's what I say.
Well, shoot, P. I say we move on to some of these spreads or spreads over and unders on some of these games. I usually do five NFL ones that I give for the people out there. I don't know how many you did, but we just kind of talked about it before we hopped on. I know me and you had some similar. I know my first one was Detroit and Dallas. We've been talking about this game on the DFS just then. Detroit and Dallas, the over and under was 49. I took the over. Felt like it was a slam dunk. The worst defense. I know the Cowboys got a good defense, but um, Jared Goff's getting DeAndre Swift back most likely. Going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown back. So that offense was clicking with Jared Goff a few weeks ago. Then they got a little banged up. So the over 49, what you think about that one, P?
Yeah, I got that one. I did a 5-leg parlay, and I got that one in there. So yeah, I feel like that's a good pick. Yep, I see. And the Detroit just had a bye week too, so they should be, all refreshed, ready to go. Look for a high scoring game there.
P, go ahead and give me one of yours.
I'll go down the list. My next leg on this parlay is I took the over. I did over unders this week, man. I took the over in Cleveland and Baltimore at 45 and a half. Um, like I said before, I think this could be a high scoring game. Uh, Baltimore, I feel like it's definitely going to score. I can see Cleveland putting up some numbers too. So 45 and a half, I'm taking over on that.
Yep, I feel you. I know me and Kraft had been talking about it on previous podcasts. The under's been hitting a lot. But the thing is though, me and you ain't shying away. We just took the over on two straight games. Under's been hitting a lot though this year. Heck, I still take the under on some of them. Uh, but yeah, Phil, I'm with you. I like that pick. I think that was a pretty good one. Um, my next one, I got Seattle +5 versus the Chargers, and my train of thought with this one was the Chargers have been struggling. I think Herbert's banged up, and they're not really saying anything about it. I know after earlier in the year, that dude had like I don't even know fractured ribs or something crazy like that, rib cartilage. They've been struggling all year, really. That offense ain't been clicking, and to me, it's because that dude's banged up, man. And Seattle, I think they had a bad game their last game they played, but Geno Smith and Metcalf and them boys, they've been surprising folks this year, surprising me. So +5, you give them 5 points versus a team that's been struggling. Taking that all day.
Yeah, I like that pick. I like Seattle. I mean, I like Geno Smith. He's been doing good, like you said. So, and yeah, Herbert, he's definitely still hurting from that rib or whatever. It's they just ain't been on a roll. Ackler's been doing good, but they just been struggling hardcore. I mean, they've been just looking bad.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, you're right.
as
Eckler's been
long as
doing good because I think Justin Herbert can't throw the ball down the field. I think he's got to dump it
yeah,
off to his running back. Palmer was catching balls at like 4 yards from the line of scrimmage. I mean, so I feel pretty safe with that pick. Go ahead and give me another one, P.
next one I took was the under with Green Bay and Washington at a 41 and a half. I uh I just see this being kind of low scoring. Green Bay's got, they got a decent defense, good pass defense, I guess. And Washington, they got a decent run defense. So I just feel like it's gonna be kind of a low scoring game. Packers been in some close games all year. When you expect them to win, they lose or they just barely win. So, Washington, I mean, they ain't too bad. I see Brian Robinson might be having a good game this week. I got him in a super flex spot because
Yeah.
I'm pretty much empty on players. So I feel like there's gonna be some points in this game, but it's gonna be low scoring. I took the under on that. What you think?
Yeah, P, I'm with you. I like that pick too. I mean, I kind of think Aaron Rodgers might get it going against that Washington team this week, but I don't think Washington's going to do anything. They're good. They got Heineke going. Heck, I need to go put
Yeah.
some money on that when I think about it. I don't even know what I'm thinking. I didn't place any money on that initially, but now I think about it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I think I seen that the Packers were -4 favorites versus Washington. I feel like that's a kind of a good one to hit on too, maybe. But the thing is Green Bay, they ain't been covering their spreads this year. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
the under, I like it, Phil.
yeah. I could see them covering at 4. I feel like they might win by a touchdown or more, especially with Heineke and O'Heine.
Oh,
You
Heine.
know, so I mean, we'll see. Shoot, they might end up putting that rookie in there. You never know.
Old Sam
So
Howell, you might as
I
well.
might,
What you
I
got to
might
lose,
see
you
that.
know?
Exactly. I mean, just throw them in there.
Um,
Uh,
P, my next one, I took Atlanta Falcons +6.5 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Falcons, they've been playing some pretty decent football. So the way I say it is they've been, covering the spreads all year pretty much, playing pretty good football. They're running the ball a lot. Cincinnati's been struggling. I know they bounced back last week, but you talked to me and the craft man on some of these podcasts, and we're not really buying the Bengals as just blowing up, getting it back together all the way. I kind of see the Falcons covering, and you give them 6.5. What you think about that one?
yeah, I definitely like that one. I mean, the Falcons, they've been looking good. I mean, they just beat, San Fran. Like, heck yeah. And yeah, I mean, I feel like they definitely gonna cover that. Cincinnati, they they definitely in the Super Bowl slump or whatever. They're pretty much like the Falcons were back in the day after they went to the Super Bowl and lost.
You just get to
And then they,
struggling. When you lose in the
yep,
Super Bowl, you don't make the playoffs the next year, man. It happens all the time.
yep. So I like that pick. I like Atlanta to get a win right there. So
Dang, Phil pulling the upset. Would you go ahead and put money on the Falcons money line to win it all? I'm not sure what the,
man,
what the.
I'll put $1. I'll put $1 on there, man.
Hey, I'm with you. I ain't never opposed to putting $1 on an underdog.
Yeah.
um.
That's
Well, shoot, Phil, give me another one. I think I got two more left, but go ahead and throw
all
us
right.
another one out
Yeah.
there, P.
I got two more too. I got the under the Jets and Broncos 38.5, man. I took an
Mm.
under on that. Just because Broncos, they got a good defense, but Jets got a decent defense too. I feel like Jets gonna win that game. Um, but it's gonna be a low scoring game. I think that's a tough one right there. But I'm just taking the under just because
Yeah,
it
I
might
think
be.
I saw that the Jets were 1 point underdogs +1 versus Denver. I wouldn't mind smacking on that right there. I think the Jets might beat Denver. Denver's been struggling all year. Russ is now coming out saying he's hurt and stuff, but that don't excuse why you was playing so bad game one and game two. So it's like I believe he could be hurt, but they've been looking bad all year. That offense has been struggling. I think the under is as safe as could be in this game because Patrick Surtain for the Denver Broncos. It don't matter who's in
Mm,
front of him. He's shutting them down. So
yeah. Woohoo.
roll
Yeah, I
tide.
like him. Alabama boy. Let's go. All right.
Uh,
What's your another one, Matt?
my next one, Tampa Bay -13 over Carolina, and a spread like that. I usually stay away from a spread like that, especially in the NFL. But not today. Not today, P. Carolina, they starting old whatever his name is, PJ something something. I wish I had it at the top of my head. I ain't. Usually I'd have it written down or something, but they're starting a backup quarterback. They ain't starting Baker. Tom Brady. They've been needing to bounce back. That Joker's going through a divorce. He needs to stomp on some throats for us. I really think Tampa Bay is going to come into this game thinking we need to bounce back. We need to start getting some momentum. We're starting to get close to the halfway point. Let's start getting it together. We've been just kind of squeaking by. I mean, they lost to Pittsburgh last week, so it's like I think they're gonna come out here and just lay it on them. Christian McCaffrey done got traded. Man, the Panthers, they don't want no. Their coach got fired. They're in shambles, man. They don't want no business playing out there. They're just gonna collect a paycheck and play. I feel I feel as good about this one right here as any of the ones that I've put money on, and the spread is 13. P.
Yeah, I mean, that's the definition of a team being in shambles right there. So that's a good call on that. Yeah, I think Tom and them gonna go off. Leonard Fournette, he's gonna go off. Probably all them receivers gonna go off. The tight ends, everybody. So, and then Carolina, just look for them. They're just gonna be trying to run the ball. Oh, Deontay Foreman, look for him. He might have some points, but I mean, running the ball against Tampa Bay ain't the best way to go about your business. So I'm starting DJ Moore this week. I got to. So I hope he got a big week.
Same.
But
Got
yeah.
no choice.
That's funny. Yeah, I like that pick though, man. I'm just gonna tell you my last one. It's just hold up.
Shoot,
Is
P, I'll
it? You
drop
go
my.
ahead.
I was about
Go
to say
ahead
I'll
with
drop
you.
my last one. It's Monday Night Football. Chicago Bears, New England Patriots. The over and under is 40. I took the under because every time I see Chicago Bears on the slate, I'm trying to go take the under. It don't matter who they playing really, and New England, it ain't like their offense is out there being explosive. I know Zappy, old Bailey Zappy, kind of had them rolling a little bit. Ramondre Stevenson, but those are two offenses that are very suspect, and they're not exactly explosive. They got to score 40 points between them two. I know Justin Fields and them ain't gonna go out there and score. I'd be shocked if they score 21 points. So versus Bill Belichick's
Yeah.
defense, that's been on a roll. That defense has been on a roll these past couple weeks. Heck, I feel good about all my picks, Phil. When I look back at them, I'm like, dang, I might go 5-0 this week.
Yeah, better put them in a parlay.
Parlay
Yeah, I
them
got.
up.
Yeah, I just couldn't find this other one, Matt, but I got it right here. I just picked the over in that Seattle LA game, 50 and a half. Man, Chargers, I feel like they're still going to score against Seattle. Seattle going to score. So, yeah, that was my last one in my little parlay. So I hope I hit them all. I put
Yep.
$1 in. You know me.
Hey,
$1.
the
If
money
I
don't
win that
matter.
parlay,
Hey,
yeah,
we just
I'm
giving
getting
the
23
people.
bucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We just giving the people what they need. It don't matter how much y'all bet. We just giving y'all the information to make that money. I ain't gonna tell you how much I bet. I might have put $1,000 on one of these games. Y'all don't know.
Yeah. I'll tell you how much. You know, the poor man's putting $1, maybe a nickel.
I heard that, P. Well, all right then, P. Shoot, we gave everybody the information they need on the NFL. That's what this podcast is, anyways. NFL. We do a lot of fantasy work. We like to give out a gambling episode every week if we can. I know me and you, we was with fam last week, so we ain't have time to do it, but it is what it is. But shoot, Phil, real quick, man. It's Friday night when I'm recording this. Um, let's give everybody some college picks real quick. Just we ain't got to go into detail. Let's just give them a little what we got. I only did 3 games, Phil. I'll just run through them real quick because I usually do a game at the 12 p.m. slate, the 3:30 slate, and then the primetime slate. So at the primetime slate, I did UCF versus East Carolina. I picked East Carolina +5. It's always tough to play at East Carolina. Only somebody like me would know something about that. All these people down here in the South, like, oh, SEC, like it's tough to go play in East Carolina now. I, I know that everybody's probably like, this dude Matt's crazy, man, drunk as hell tonight. It's not true. I've had a couple beers, but I ain't drunk. That's the truth. Ole Miss, I put the money line on them to beat LSU. LSU was favored by 1. I could have went Ole Miss +1, but I went ahead and just picked Ole Miss to win it outright. +1 don't do me no favors. So, and then my last one I did was Iowa versus Ohio State. The spread is 29 points, so I put Iowa +29. I mean, if you can't cover 29 points, I mean, Iowa's going to run the ball. They're going to do what they do. So if they could just get a few first downs, Ohio State won't beat them by 29, I hope.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one, Matt.
And one more, P, real quick. I haven't put money on it yet, but I will. I always put money on my Clemson Tigers and whatever. I'm picking the over. I think the over was I can't even remember. I want to say 49.5, but they're going to get Syracuse. Clemson's going to put up points. They've been sleeping on the offense. Clemson's offense has looked pretty good 3 weeks in a row. Even old Fat Cinco, nobody's been hating on Fat Cinco more than I have. That dude has looked pretty good these past few weeks. A little inconsistent still. Syracuse, they're going to throw the ball out. Clemson, they got at least one weak spot in the secondary. I know is going to get picked on. So I know Syracuse is going to air it out a little bit, and they're going to put up some points a little bit. So the over, I would take the over on that. What you got for me, P?
Yeah, I like them picks. I did a little 4-leg parlay in my college picks this week. I picked the under Iowa Ohio State 49.5. I mean, the only way it's more than that if it's Ohio State blows them out, because Iowa ain't gonna score a lot of points, but they got a good defense, so I think they can hold Ohio State to a grind of a game. We'll see though. This is like, if Ohio State does blow them out, I'll be like, all right, they pretty good. So I think it's gonna be a little closer than what people think. And then I picked the money line, Ole Miss LSU too. Got Ole Miss winning that over LSU. I think that's an easy pick, but I don't know. They playing at LSU, so we'll see. Then I got UCLA +6 at Oregon. UCLA ain't look bad. I mean, in Oregon, I mean, they ain't look bad playing in the pack, but I mean, they got that one loss to Georgia where they just look like Dookie.
Yeah.
So and I just feel like UCLA, they could beat them. +6 ain't bad. I'm taking that. And then I got the over 61.5 of Mississippi State and Alabama. I feel like Alabama's gonna score. I feel like Mississippi State, they're gonna be throwing it deep, kind of like how Tennessee was, throwing the ball deep, and probably gonna get some big plays out there. I feel like,
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
every
a
time it's at 60 or so with Alabama, I'm usually taking the over on that. So
yeah,
that's
there's
my last.
there's no doubt Mississippi State's about to go out there and throw that ball 50, 60 times. So I like your picks. We gave the people a little bit of extra. I want to give them a little even more extra, Phil. Tomorrow morning, starting at 10, we got the prelims for UFC 280. At 2 o'clock, the main card. Whoo wee! This card is stacked. So I'm gonna do a little part. This is a Here's what I went with at the featured prelim. I went ahead and I went Sean Brady to beat old Muhammad Bilal, whatever his name is. He's a good fighter though. Bilal Muhammad, I think his name is. But I went Sean Brady. But the ones that you need to keep an eye on are that a 3-leg parlay. Sugar Sean O'Malley's going against Peter Yan. I picked Peter Yan. Peter Yan is the number one contender. He just lost the title fight to Aljamain Sterling, who's fighting later. Sean O'Malley, though, if he wins this fight, we're talking about the next Conor McGregor, P. We're talking about a superstar that's already there. He's already been on the rise. If he beats Jan, we're talking about the next big thing. The next one I put was Aljamain Sterling going against TJ Dillashaw. I can't stand Dillashaw, man. That dude's a cheater. I just can't stand him. He won one fight and he's getting a title shot, but it's really because Sterling called him out. And hey, if you're the champ, call out whoever you want to. If you want that fight, go get that fight. It's bringing in a lot of money, and I don't blame him. So I went Sterling. And then the big one of the night, Phil. Me and my guy Jordan Harris been arguing about this for months. I can't believe it's here. Charles Oliveira, who never gets respect from the UFC community for some reason, never gets respect. This dude just goes out there. Oh, he can't beat Poirier. Bam, chokes him out. Oh, he can't beat Gavji. Bam, chokes him out. Give the man some motherfucking respect. He's going against Islam, Khabib's boy, who all this guy did was beat Bobby Green. He gets a title shot. The thing is, Phil, this fight's going to the ground, and I've never been so excited to watch a fight go to the ground. I can't wait to see Charles Oliveira. So Peter Yan, Sterling, Charles Oliveira, parlay it up, make you some money, people, and enjoy the fights. If you don't watch the fights, then just listen to our NFL picks because we're going undefeated.
Yeah, true that. Man, I was just on there on my little FanDuel. sports book. And I just picked that little parlay just like you said, Matt. You know, I put $1 on that. You know it.
Had to, man. Had to, man. I can't wait, man. But people, thanks for listening to this gambling episode of the Cruise Dynasty podcast. We get you a little fantasy throughout the week, but at the end of the week, me and the poor man, we like to try to hop on and give our gambling picks because me and Phil, we just some rambling, gambling sons of guns over here. So,
Yeah, we're some fiends.
we some fiends, man, some gambling fiends, man. Phil, man, when I just watch sports, drink beer, and gamble.
Yeah. Shoot, I was gonna drink a beer tonight, but I only got 3 in the fridge. I'm saving them for tomorrow, man. That's how the poor man rolls, right there, bro.
Man, shoot. Well, we wrapping it on up, man. Thanks for listening, everybody. The poor man's here. We will be back next week to give y'all another one. Might get the craft man on. The craft man was gonna hop on this gambling episode, but me and Phil had to get our babies to sleep, man, because that's just how we roll. Can't get them to sleep. We had to do a late night one.
Yeah, normally I put some beer in a sippy cup for them, but I mean, like I said, only got 3 left, so I'm saving them.
Oh man, add the podcast and give us a 5-star review. But we out.